My name's Dana Reimer. I work for Hoboken Grace Community Church here in Hoboken, New Jersey, which if you don't know where that is, it's basically right across the Hudson from New York City. We're like the sixth borough. I've been here for about 10 years and I am now the service programming director. I've been in that role for about 6 years. Overseeing all of our production, our online experience, and our in-person experiences as well. To give a little context, right before COVID hit, in person, we average about 1,000 attendees on Sunday, including kids. We are part of the North Point Partner Network, which has been awesome to be a part of. Having that was just crucial as we were each figuring out how we were going to do services, both online and as each has started to do in person again. Late July, early August, we found out that we were going to be able to go back. Our space is unique in that it's not ours. So right now I'm in our offices, which are on one side of Hoboken, and the building where we actually hold services is on the other side of Hoboken. So we were like, okay, how can we create more space for people to be able to experience an in-person service again? Because one of the things I think we felt is that you just don't know how much you've missed it until you come back to it. We ended up renting a vacant parking lot uptown and we turfed it. That was definitely an interesting switch for us. So 2 services every Sunday outside on the lawn, 2 services inside, 4 services online. And we kind of said, let's just split them all up and let them each be their own thing, because what's best for one experience isn't necessarily what's best for the other. So what we've been doing is the online experience is completely pre-recorded with worship that's specifically recorded for online, and a conversation and hosting. All of that is done a couple days before. Everything is broken out into shorter bits rather than having like a really long worship set at the front or a really long time of prayer or something like that. Even with how we record the worship, like the camera switches are just way more frequent. And so we kind of just embraced that. We've had first-time guests in the plenty. So I think the fact that we were actually still able to engage with new people is massive. Like, we didn't lose ground in that sense. Our philosophy with online, even before COVID, was we want to allow people to see it and get comfortable with it before they make the decision to come try it in person. I feel like we're just starting to get a feel for, okay, who's starting to come in person because they started watching online. I think we've just not been afraid to change it up whenever it needs to, but still makes sense with kind of the voice of everything working. Does it make sense? If you watched online and then you chose to come in person, would it feel like it's the same kind of voice, same idea, or would it feel like completely different? I think the question for us has been, does online church work? Not that we haven't had church online before, but we're really doing church online in a way that we haven't had to before. We maybe had the option to do it that way, but didn't encourage people to necessarily pick that route. So I think that's really the question we're asking. And right now the answer is kind of yes, but it kind of has to. Online's not going to go away just because we have in-person services. And that was a big decision we made, is that we're not going to stop investing in this experience just because we're starting this one, which really plays into where we're going as a church. We are in the midst of what we're calling our home initiative, where we're trying to figure out a permanent space to call home, which is just really hard in a urban area. And so what it's probably going to look like for us is more than one location, because we don't know when the indoor capacity is going to be raised. We don't know when social distancing will die, if it ever will. We don't know when we'll be able to be inside without masks. And so the reality is we just have to look at how can we continue to create space. In the short term, that I think just having a lot of options for people to be able to engage with and attend, whether it's online or in person, is going to be important because there's so much else unknown. I think I'm hopeful that even in the midst of it looking different, in person or whether it's online, there is some part that starts to feel normal and is rejuvenating, and that continues to be reality no matter how you're attending a service. It's been great in Resi that we don't just use it for Sunday services. We also use it for our Grace Kids program. We also use it for a Monday through Friday podcast style talk show where we go over a passage of the Bible every morning at 8 o'clock, and that goes live. And then we also use it for a podcast called Let's Grab Lunch, which is every Tuesday, which is kind of a debrief of what we talk about on Sunday. But those are all live experiences with chat, and it has been really awesome to be able to expand and do more of that content in the sense of really creating an online church experience. At the time, this was probably a year ago, I want to say. We weren't putting a ton into that. We were just kind of, hit and go on Sunday. And so we really wanted to develop our online pastor and hosts to really engage with people who are making the decision to watch online before they attend in person. And we just felt like because 30% of our attendees at the time were attending online. And so we felt like that's way too big of a group of people to just be ignoring. And so switching to living as one to now Resi just felt like, okay, this is a big jump for us right now, but it's going to make bigger jumps later that much easier. I mean, I think we were really impressed with how everything was handled when everything shut down, because so many churches and so many people were tuning in online way more than they probably were a week ago, probably the middle of March when all of that began. And we were nervous that our systems weren't going to hold up or that some platform was going to die, and Resi didn't. If you're trying to engage with people online, it's a no-brainer. It's better to make the move now and understand it because you're only going to use it more.